Hi everyone, I hope all of you are doing fine and working hard for your NEET exam. And since during this time we cannot have our main classes, so that's why with the help of online classes, we'll try to revise some of the topics which we were not able to revise. And you have to treat this class as your main class only. Only I will not present in front of you, I will be present with the help of camera. And you have to keep your main notes with yourself, you have to keep one copy also, and you have to keep one pen also. It's not like a normal video that you see on YouTube, it's like a class only. So you have to keep your main notes with yourself, you have to keep copy also, you have to keep pen also, so that when I will ask you to refer from main notes, you can see there. Or if I will give you some questions also, here I am going to give you some questions also, you can solve those questions also. And be 100% focused, because this time is very important for all of you, and you have got some extra time to improve your rank. So utilize this time in best possible manner. So before starting class, two things are needed. You must have your main notes with yourself, so that when I will ask you to refer from main notes, you can refer from there. And second thing, you must have one copy and pen with yourself, so that when I will give you any question, you must solve those questions also. And today we will start with one important topic, which is going to come in your next weekend test also, and it is important for your NEET exam also, because from this chapter minimum 2 questions will be asked. Can you guess the name of the chapter? I think everyone knows the schedule. Chapter will be our electromagnetic induction. So we'll start with electromagnetic induction. I am giving you time of 1 minute. Take your notes, have a copy, have a pen, and we'll start with our chapter. Okay, enough time given. Now let's start with our chapter electromagnetic induction. This is an important chapter because 2 questions will be asked from here in your NEET exam. So let's start. Let's start with this chapter. Now what we will study in this chapter? In this chapter we will study mainly about Faraday's law, then we will study about Lenz's law, then we will study about motional EMF, then we will study about self-inductance, we will study about mutual inductance, we will study about eddy current, we will study about inductors. So many things we have to study, and we have a limited amount of time. So be 100% focused, then only this online class will be helpful for you. Don't see as a normal YouTube video, no. Be focused and try to understand all these things which will be getting here. So this chapter starts first with basic Faraday's law. So I will give you idea about Faraday's law and how questions are asked from here in your NEET exam. So all these things will be talking. So first we will start with Faraday's law. I think everyone knows, according to Faraday's law, what Faraday's law tells us. Whenever magnetic flux associated with a coil changes, an EMF is induced in the coil, and if your circuit is complete, induced current will also flow in your circuit. So very basic Faraday's law, what I said, once again I will revise. Whenever you have any coil and if magnetic field is there, so due to that magnetic field, coil will have magnetic flux. But always remember, flux don't decide anything. Everything will be decided by change in flux. So someone says, sir, somehow if magnetic flux start changing. So Faraday law says whenever magnetic flux associated with a coil changes, an EMF is induced in the coil. And if your circuit is complete now, you will get induced current also in the circuit. So what will be value of that induced EMF? That is asked from your Faraday's law. It's not like that anything will, you will go to give NEET exam. First question will be asked, write the Faraday's law. No. They will ask you numericals based from here. And numerical starts from how to get the value of induced EMF. So I think everyone knows. Here we are going to get two EMF. One will be our instantaneous EMF. Instantaneous EMF that is obtained with the help of differentiation at a particular instant. Someone asks you, find EMF at t equal to 1 second, find EMF at t equal to 2 seconds. That is, they are talking about instantaneous EMF, and I think everyone knows instantaneous values obtained with the help of differentiation. So instantaneous EMF will be minus d phi b by dt. That is rate of change of magnetic flux. That is differentiation of magnetic flux. Someone asks you average EMF for duration of time. Someone asks find the induced EMF from t equal to 0 to t equal to 2 seconds. That means they are asking you average EMF. Average EMF will be minus delta phi b by delta t, or you can write minus phi 2 minus phi 1 upon t2 minus t1. Phi is your magnet, phi is flux, b is representing magnetic flux. So these are the two important relations from where questions are asked, numericals are asked in your Faraday's law. Instantaneous EMF simply with the help of differentiation of flux. Average EMF delta phi b by delta t, that is phi minus or phi 2 minus phi 1 upon. Achha, can you tell me what this minus sign represent? I think everyone knows induced EMF will be in such a manner that it will oppose the cause. So that's why this, that is your Lenz law also. That's why this minus sign comes here. Okay, no problem. So till now in Faraday's law, what I told you, Faraday's law will give you value of induced EMF. Two induced EMF we will get. One will be instantaneous, one will be your average. Instantaneous simply with the help of differentiation, average with the help of delta phi upon delta t. But before moving to numericals from here, first I will again give you idea about this magnetic flux. What is the value of magnetic flux? How this value is calculated? What is the formula to calculate magnetic flux? So we'll come back to here. Don't think we are leaving. This is the main part from where numerical will be asked. But before moving to numericals, we must have knowledge of this magnetic flux. So we'll talk about magnetic flux from here. And then again we will come back to numericals from Faraday's law. So let's talk about magnetic flux. So I think everyone knows magnetic flux phi b. Okay. So this magnetic flux represents number of magnetic field lines crossing the given area. And we have one mathematical formula to calculate magnetic flux. Phi will be integration b dot ds. But you are never going to get any question where integration will be used. So directly you can write. Whenever it is asked, you can write flux directly as b dot s, or you can write simply as bs cos theta. What is this here? Area vector. What will be direction of area vector? Perpendicular to the plane of object. For example, someone is saying a body is placed in xy plane. So area vector will be perpendicular to xy plane. Who is perpendicular to xy plane? Z axis. So area vector will have direction k cap. This is for one turn. But you know we can have n turns of loop. Someone is saying that our loop has n turns. So in that situation, for n turns you have to multiply with n. So this will become tan cos theta. I just represented s by a, so that it will become easy for us to remember. For one turn, ba cos theta. For n turns, you can multiply with n, so this will become tan cos theta. So this is the value of magnetic flux for n turns. Okay. Now again I will revise. So magnetic flux will be b dot s, that is bs cos theta. S I am representing with a. For n turns, this will be n times of this, so this will be coming as tan cos theta. So you tell me what is the magnetic flux associated with n turns? Tan cos theta. What is the magnetic flux with n turns? Tan cos theta. So this is the value of magnetic flux for n turns. Now some questions are asked from this magnetic flux also. For example, I am giving you one question. You try to find out. Write down the question. They will say You can write the question. A square having side length 2 meter is placed in XY plane. A square having side length 2 meter is placed in XY plane. And so, so square is placed in XY plane. And magnetic field in that region is given as 2I cap plus 3J cap plus 4K cap. Find the flux through the square. So first thing, magnetic field is already given to you. Just as a simple question, magnetic field is already given to you. You have to write area vector. What I said, you can write area vector very easily. Area vector, what is the value of area? Side length square, side length 2. So area will come 4. Since object is placed in XY plane now, area vector will be perpendicular to XY plane. What is perpendicular to XY plane, Baba? Your z axis. So this area vector will come K cap, perpendicular to XY plane. Now flux is asked, so I think everyone has got the answer also. We know flux will be simply B dot S. You can do dot product, K will give you dot product with K. So answer will come 16 units. I think everyone got. So this is one question where they will give you magnetic field, they will give you area. Only one thing is there, you need to find area vector. Area magnitude will be known. Direction will come, you know area vector will be perpendicular to the plane. So if it is placed in XY plane, it will come K cap. And once you get, you can do dot product and you can get answer very easily. So this is how questions are asked from magnetic flux. Only one type of question is there. Now we are going to move towards questions based on Faraday's law. And all these questions are very, very important. Same type of question has been repeated 3-4 times in your NEET exam. So be 100% focused. Understand how questions will be talking here. Just see. First question, which has been asked from here. They will give you value of flux depending on time. For example, they will give you flux is given as T square plus 2T plus 4. They will ask you find induced EMF at T equal to 1 second. Which EMF is this? Instantaneous. I think everyone can do. No, sir, we can get it from here. Sir, you are asking us EMF. We know EMF will be, sir, minus d phi by dt. So minus will come here. You can differentiate it. So this will give you 2t plus 2. When they are asking you t equal to 1 second. So you can put here t equal to 1. So 2 plus 2 it will become 4. So minus 4 volt. This will be our answer. If minus is not there, you can also write magnitude depending on option, or you can also go with 4 volt. So this is the first question where they will give you flux depending on time. They will ask you find instantaneous EMF, differentiate the flux, put the value of time, EMF will come. Now we will move to next question. Again an important type of question where they will talk about flux. For example, just see what I am trying to tell you. We just now studied some flux will be band cos theta for enters. But I think you know important is not flux. Important will be your change in flux. Flux never gives you EMF. Who will give you EMF? That is the Faraday's law. Whenever magnetic flux associated with a coil changes, flux has to change. This flux is depending on these 4 factors. So they will give you question where they will say magnetic field is changing. If magnetic field will change, flux will change, EMF will come. Area is changing. Area change, flux change, EMF will come. N will never change. No one will change number of turns. But again, theta can change. So we talk about one numerical for all these 3 parts. So see here, be focused. Just see. For example, one question has been asked. This is same your previous year NEET question only. I'll be talking. Where they said like this. They said a circular coil is there. One turn is there. So let's talk about the first question, which will be asked based from here. They said one circular coil is there. They gave radius of the coil. Radius of that coil was given as 1 meter. This coil was placed in perpendicular magnetic field. You can see, but this magnetic field is not constant. This magnetic field is varying with time. Now they asked find induced EMF. Find induced EMF at t equal to 1 second. So first thing you tell me why EMF will come. Because sir, actually what will happen here, if you see, as the time will pass, magnetic field will change. And as the magnetic field will change, magnetic flux will change. And we know, sir, if magnetic flux will change, EMF will come. So they are asking you to find out the EMF. If you see, theta here will be 180 degree. So for magnitude, cos 180 will be -1. We need only value. We need only magnitude. So we'll say induced EMF at t equal to 1 second. How to find? So we know, sir, EMF will be d phi by dt. We want magnitude, that's why we are ignoring minus here. Now we can write this as phi as number of turns is 1. So this will come b into a. Cos 180 -1, that is -1. We are taking magnitude, so we are taking as +1 upon dt. From here area is constant. You can see that no change in area. So this will be coming as, this area will be coming out. So a into dB by dt. Now area of the circle you know pi r square, 1 square. dB by dt you can differentiate time. So differentiation of time will give you 2t. When they are asking you t equal to 1 second, you can put there. So induced EMF at t equal to 1 second will be coming as pi into 1 square, that is pi into 2 into t. t 1 second you can put here. So you'll be getting 2 pi. 2 pi means 2 into 3.14, so that will come as 6.28 volt. This is a previous year NEET question. So I think everyone understood. Magnetic field will change, flux will change. Flux will change, EMF will come. EMF we know, sir, d phi by dt. Now area is constant, so b will be differentiated. If b will be differentiated, b is your t square. So differentiation of t square will give you 2t. So this is the first question that we got here. Now we'll move to next question, where I am going to talk about one more situation, where I will change area. So let's see that question. Second question based on same Faraday's law, where I will give you like this. Let's see how questions are asked from here. Again, important type of question. Someone says, sir, I have a circular coil. Again, now magnetic field is present inward. Value of magnetic field is given as 2 Tesla. Now, the circular coil which you are seeing here, its radius is not constant. Its radius is changing. Its radius is increasing. dr by dt, rate of change of radius is given. That is given as, for example, 2 meter per second. Number of turns again 1. They will again ask you find induced EMF. Find induced EMF. So you can write the question. Question will be like this. Find the value of induced EMF when radius becomes 10 meter. There is a circular coil whose radius is increasing. You know, if radius will increase, area will increase, flux will increase, EMF will come. So that is what they are asking you. So again you can write this EMF as, so d phi by dt. We are ignoring minus sign here because we just want magnitude. Now here d phi will be d into a. Cos theta will be again 180 degree. Cos 180 is -1, so we are ignoring minus, so 1 will come by dt. They will ask you EMF when radius of the circular loop became 10 meter. So we will be saying from here, sir, b is constant. You can take out of integration sign. So this will become 2 dA. Area of the circle you know, pi r square by dt. Just b is constant, so we took out of integration. Area we are going to differentiate, pi r square. So this we can write as 2. Pi is again constant. R square in the differentiation will give you 2r into dr by dt. Now they are asking you EMF when r is 10 meter. So you can put all these values. If you see from here, 2 into 2 will give you 4. 4 pi r. So that will be coming as 4 pi pi, r is given. When they are asking EMF when r is 10 meters, so you can put the value of r will be 10 meter. And dr by dt. What is dr by dt? That is also given as 2. So this will be coming as 80 pi. So this is the value. So again, here why EMF will come? Because area will increase. Because when area will increase, flux will increase. And with the help of that, we are getting the value of induced EMF. So just you can see this solution. I'll give you time of 1 minute. Easy question. Now let's move to third situation. And you can see this type of question must be present in your notes also. So you can have a look after the class, you can see those questions. Now let's move to third situation. Again, a very, very important situation. Same Faraday's law we are talking, the see here. In third situation, till now if you see, I said you flux will depend on 3 factors, B, A and theta. B changed, we studied question where B changed. We studied question where area changed. Now we are going to move around about third situation where angle will change. So let's see how to find in that situation. Very, very important situation, be focused. Understand how question will be asked from here. Just see. So third situation, where they will say you like this. They will say like this. One coil is there. Any shape may be there. I am saying some magnetic field present here is constant B. Area of the loop constant. But your loop is now rotated with angular velocity omega. You tell me if you rotate the coil with angular velocity omega, what will happen? I know sir, when you rotate now, angle changes. That is the meaning of rotation. So if you rotate here, what will happen? Angle will change. Magnetic field you can see inward. So if you rotate sir, angle will change. If angle will change, flux will change, EMF will come. So they will ask you to find that EMF at any time t. So I will be saying sir, first I will write the flux. And they will say you here n turns are there. So I write the flux. The flux will be band. So I can write this theta also as omega into t. So I will write flux as band cos. Theta will be omega t. What is asked? EMF. EMF will be sir d phi by dt. Or if you want you can put minus also, nothing to worry. So this will be coming as minus. Band is constant. I think everyone knows differentiation of cos omega t. That is minus omega sin omega t. So from here you will get induced EMF due to rotation. That will be coming as minus minus will become plus. Band omega sin omega t. This is a very, very important relation. This is nothing. This is same as your E equal to E naught sin omega t, which you study in AC current. And this is also working principle of your AC generator. So which question is asked from here in your NEET exam? In NEET they will not ask you all these things. Who will ask you this all these things? They will ask you one simple thing. They will say you, if a coil is rotated with angular velocity omega now, find maximum EMF. So you can see that maximum EMF E naught. Same thing happens in your AC generator also. So they may ask you the same question for AC generator. Find the maximum EMF generated in AC generator. So Emax, my target behind telling you this question is only one thing. To tell you the value of Emax. So Emax will be coming as, can you tell me what will the value of Emax? Maximum, say, what is value of maximum EMF? Emax will come band omega. This is the maximum EMF. So tell me what is the maximum EMF generated in AC generator? Band omega, band omega, band omega. So this is how we can talk about. So these are the questions which we got from our Faraday's law. So again, from the beginning I will tell 3 questions, 3 types of situations we got. First situation, magnetic field changes, EMF will come. You can differentiate, flux will get. Second situation, area changes, circle radius was increasing, differentiate, EMF will come. third situation, which is the most important situation, if angle changes, they will not ask you value, they will simply ask you find maximum EMF. Can you tell me what will be that maximum EMF? Van omega. What is maximum EMF when coil is rotated? Same thing happens in your AC generator also. Van omega. So this is how we can talk about. Now we will move to one more situation. Again, one important situation related with Faraday's law only. Again, a very, very important situation. So be 100% focused. Let's see. From Faraday's law, we got the value of induced EMF. Sir, I got induced EMF. Sir, induced EMF will be coming as induced EMF will be coming as instantaneous or average, whatever I want we can write. So induced EMF is coming as delta phi by delta t. Just you can, if you want, you can write d phi by dt also. Nothing will happen. One thing I want to tell you. Now, Ashik, tell me, can you find current? I said if circuit is completed, current will also flow. Can you tell me current? Yes, the EMF is known. So I can write current as E by R. EMF upon voltage V by R. Current is V by R. So E by R. V is nothing, that is your EMF. This will come as delta phi by EMF. Delta phi by delta T upon R. Or you can simply say delta phi upon R into delta T. Now, if you see this current is also, you can write in the terms of charge. You know this current can be written as delta Q by delta T. So delta Q by delta T will come delta phi upon R into delta T. Now from here, delta T will be gone. Now you can get one relation between charge and flux. This is a very, very important situation. Be focused. Charge flowing in the circuit will be delta phi by R. Delta phi is the change in the flux upon resistance. What is R? Resistance. Questions are asked from here. So what relation we got here? Charge flowing in the circuit, delta Q, charge which will flow. You know, if flux will change, EMF will come. If EMF will come, current will flow. So current will flow means charge will flow. So charge flowing in the circuit, delta Q will be equal to delta phi by R. Changing flux. So questions is asked. Sometimes changing flux will be given, resistance will be given, charge is asked. Sometimes charge will be given. You have to get the change of flux. And for giving you charge, they will not give you directly. Many times they will give you current time graph. If I give you current time graph with the help of area, just see here what relation we got. Everyone knows also. Delta Q will be equal to delta phi by R. Sir, how to get this delta Q? You can even directly use it, but they will not give you directly. For delta Q, they will give you current time graph. So I think everyone knows area of current time graph will give you delta Q. So find its area. That area, current time graph area will give you changing charge, that will give you charge. Put charge here, multiply with radius, you get the flux. So this is how question is asked. So just here I will be talking about what I am trying to tell in this part. 3-4 times question has been asked. That's why I am giving that much of time to this situation. So be again focused. If you change the flux, EMF will come. Due to EMF, current will come. Due to current, charge will flow. So they will ask you to relate flow, total charge flowing, changing flux and resistance. Relation we got delta Q equal to delta phi by R. Now delta Q will not be, they will ask you find changing flux, delta phi. Now delta Q will not be given to you directly, Baba. They will ask, they will give you current time graph. So area of current time graph will give you delta Q. If delta Q is known, R will be given, they will ask you changing flux. I think everyone can get from there. So this is how we can talk about. Now, so this is what we have got in our Faraday's law. Now we'll move to next part. This is a theoretical part, which I think everyone knows also. That is Lenz law. I think everyone knows. What is Lenz law? So Lenz law is just simply used to get the direction of induced current. Induced current, what is Lenz's law? I will again tell, theoretical topic, no numerical is going to be asked, but conceptual questions are asked. Induced current, or whenever flux changes, EMF will come. So what Lenz's law tells? Direction of induced EMF and hence induced current will be in such a manner that it will oppose the cause. Means whatever the cause which is producing induced EMF, that will be opposed by induced current. For example, I will give you a simple idea. You have done so many numericals from here. For example, someone says, we are talking about Lenz's law, theoretical topic. Just to give you an idea, I am talking about this question. Some loop is there. I have magnetic field into the plane. Now flux is there, but if your field is constant, flux will be constant. EMF will not come. Tomorrow someone told, so if this magnetic field started increasing, so if you increase the magnetic field, flux will increase. If flux will increase, induced EMF will come. Due to induced EMF, current will come. So question is asked, what will be the direction of induced current in this loop? So what is the cause? Cause is increasing field inside. So inside field is increasing. Induced current will not allow that field to increase. So it will produce, induced current will come in such a manner, it will produce field outside, because inside it is increasing. So outside means anti-clockwise. I think everyone knows outward means anti-clockwise. So here current in the loop will be your anti-clockwise. Similarly, tomorrow someone says you like this. Same loop, field is inward, but field is decreasing. So inward field is decreasing means flux inward is decreasing. Tell me, will it allow to decrease inward? No. So it will also start producing field inward. If it produces field inward, current will be coming as clockwise. Now you can see other numericals from other theoretical questions from here, from your main notes. We will not give more time to this because theoretical topic. Now we are going to move towards our next part, where we are going to talk about motional EMF. So be focused how questions are asked from motional EMF, what are the various things that we have got here. So first situation. Now let's start with one more part. We'll be starting with motional EMF. Again, this is an important part. So till now we covered magnetic flux, we covered Faraday's law, we covered Lenz's law. Now we are going to move towards our next part. We'll talk about motional EMF. So let's see here. I think everyone knows, if you have any wire, if you move this wire in perpendicular magnetic field, for example, in this region magnetic field is present, magnetic field present is B, this is moving with speed B, length is L. So when this wire will move, it will cut the magnetic field lines, or it will generate area. Once it will generate area, if you see from here that area will increase. So if area will increase, or if it will cut the magnetic field lines, it will generate EMF. And value of that motional EMF, since this EMF will come due to motion. So that's why value of this motional EMF will be coming as, EMF will be getting simply as BLV. And this wire will behave as a battery. One terminal will be high potential, one will be low. You can get which will be high, which will be low with the help of your right hand rule. Magnetic field inward, motion is like this, motion, thumb represent motion, you can get current like this. So this will be, current will come like this. This is a battery. Battery current goes from low potential to high potential. So main important point, when you move this wire will behave as a battery. If it will behave as a battery, it will have EMF since it is coming due to motion. So that's why its name is motional EMF. Its value will be BLV. But actually it is not BLV. Its actual value is, EMF will be B into L effective into V perpendicular. Always you have to see effective length, because tomorrow always straight wire will not come. They may give you a loop, they may give you a curve. So you have to see the effective length, shortest length, and you have to see the velocity perpendicular on it. So value of motional EMF will be B into L effective into E perpendicular. This wire will give us a battery, means one terminal will be low potential, high. You can get with the help of right hand rule. That is, feel forefinger, thumb, current will come like this. So this is a battery. Battery current goes from low potential to high potential. So this is how we can talk about. So motional EMF will be B into L effective into V perpendicular. Now how questions are asked. So we will talk about some cases, important situations which are repeated in your NEET exam. For example, tomorrow they will say like this. This is a wire, magnetic field is present inward, length is L, it is moving with speed V, this angle is given as theta. Now they will ask you find motional EMF. So we say the motional EMF will be B into L effective. This is a straight wire, so L effective will be L into V perpendicular. Which velocity will come, Baba? Perpendicular velocity will be your V sin theta. For example, tomorrow someone says you, I have a wire like this. This is L, this is L, this angle is theta. I am moving this wire with speed V. Magnetic field is present inward. I think everyone has studied this relation also. So here L effective will be your this length. This length you can find. I think everyone will get. This length will be coming as 12 sin theta by 2. So value of motional EMF will be coming as B into L effective. That is 12 sin theta by 2 into V perpendicular. What is V perpendicular? That is your V. So this is how questions are asked. So value of motional EMF will be B into L effective into V perpendicular. For example, since board is small, I will take this small part. You tell me. Tomorrow someone says you, I have a wire who is in the shape of semicircle whose radius is given as 10 meter. I am saying magnetic field present inward is 2 Tesla. It is moving with a speed of 2 meter per second. Can you find the EMF across its two ends? Tell me what will be EMF? So we say the EMF will be coming as B into L effective. What will be L effective? Does this length will be L effective? No, Baba. The effective length will be the shortest length. What is the shortest length? Equal to diameter. So B into L effective 20 into V perpendicular 2. So induced EMF will be coming as 80 volt. So this is how we can talk about. Now one more situation is asked where they will say you, they will give you a wire and they will say you that wire is rotated with angular velocity omega. For example, if I am rotating this wire with angular velocity omega, magnetic field again present inward, length is L. Obviously, when you rotate the wire like this wire will again generate area, circular area will come now. Or you can say when you rotate this wire, it will cut the magnetic field lines. So again you will get induced EMF. Value of that, can you tell me what is value of your induced EMF if wire is rotated? So I think you will get, everyone knows, B omega L square by 2. So this is how question is asked. For example, same thing is asked. They will say, for example, if I have a disc, this is a disc. This disc, for example, let's take one ring here, like a wheel. This wheel will have many spokes. If you rotate this with angular velocity omega, each spoke will behave as a wire. Each spoke will have magnetic. Each spoke will cut the magnetic field line. So each spoke will behave as a battery. Question is asked. Find the net EMF. And if you see, all these batteries will be connected in parallel. So B omega R square by 2 B omega R. So main point is that they will ask you question like this. They will say you, sir, if I have a disc, this is a disc. This disc is rotating with angular velocity omega. This is a disc rotating with angular velocity omega. Radius of the disc is given as R. They will ask you find the induced EMF between its center and circumference. So you can think this disc will be made up of infinite number of spokes. Each spoke will generate EMF B omega L square by 2. In place of L, who will come here? R will come, because radius or length of each spoke will be equal to radius. And all these spokes will be connected in parallel. So E net will come B omega R square by 2. So what you have to keep in your mind, when wire is rotated, b omega L square by 2. When disk is rotated, between its center and circumference, EMF will come b omega r square by 2. So these are the questions that we got from motional EMF. Again I will revise. First thing, value of motional EMF BLV, but actually it is not BLV. B into, tell me, L effective into V perpendicular. You have to always say the shortest length, effective length. So then if wire is rotated, then EMF will come between its end. So what is the value of that induced EMF? B omega L square by 2. If disk is rotated, what is the EMF between its center and circumference? Tell me, B omega R square by 2. Why? Because here R will be equal to, L will be equal to R. So B omega R square by 2 when disk is rotated. So this is how we have talked about this motional EMF. Now we are going to move towards our next part, and we will move to one more thing. We'll talk about AC currents. I think everyone knows theoretical topic, so just I will give you some idea. AC currents. I think everyone knows. These are small circular currents. Whenever any area crosses magnetic field, each part of that area behaves a small loop. And since those small loops are in motion, so they cut the magnetic field lines, they generate induced EMF. Due to that induced EMF, current comes. Those small circular currents are known as eddy current. These eddy currents are sometimes useful also, sometimes not useful also. They will bring loss in energy due to heat. They will they are used in electromagnetic. So you can see this is a theoretical topic. You can see in your notes, main notes. You have studied about this eddy currents. Eddy currents are used. Some uses you have to remember. Eddy currents are used in magnetic braking of frame. It is used in induction furnace. It is used in electromagnetic damping. To reduce eddy current in transformer, we do slotting, we do lamination, or removing area is known as slotting. That also reduces eddy currents. Let's start with one more topic. Now we'll be studying about self-inductance. So as the name suggests you, if a coil gets flux due to current of itself, we talk about self-inductance. For example, if you have a coil, if you pass current through the coil, that current will produce magnetic field in the coil itself. And due to that magnetic field, your coil itself will get the flux. So if a coil gets flux due to current of itself, that is known as self-inductance. Now let's see how we talk about this self-inductance. So self-inductance, we represent this self-inductance by quantity L. Actually here we will study two types of inductance. One will be self-inductance, one will be mutual inductance. If a coil gets flux due to current of other coil, then we talk about mutual inductance. But if a coil gets flux due to current of itself, then we talk about self-inductance. So from here we can say flux for a coil will be proportional to current of the coil itself. Obviously if current will be more in the coil, field will be more. If field will be more, flux will be more. So this is the flux of a coil, and this is also the current of the same coil. Now from here if you remove proportionality, you will get a constant. That constant is known as self-inductance. This is known as self-inductance. So if a coil is getting flux due to current of itself, we talk about a quantity which is known as self-inductance. Now for example, if someone says current in the coil changes, if you change the current, flux will change. If flux will change, induced EMF will come. So value of induced EMF we can write as minus d phi by dt. L is constant, so it will not participate in differentiation. So this minus L will come. L will come out of differentiation, and this will become di by dt. So you are getting EMF in the terms of self-inductance. So what is the main point, conceptual point? As the name is telling you, if a coil gets flux due to current of itself, we talk about self-inductance. And if you change the current, EMF will come, because flux will change. If flux will change, EMF will come. So value of induced EMF in the terms of self-inductance will be minus L into di by dt. So EMF will be minus L into di by dt. And this is the concept over which your inductor will work, which we will study later on. Now you see, I will talk about, you have studied how to find self-inductance of a circular coil, how to find self-inductance of a solenoid. So I will just give you idea how to find that self-inductance. For example, someone says you, I have a small circular coil. I am having a small circular coil. You can see all these derivations in your main notes also. Just to help you, I am just talking about how to get that self-inductance. So I am saying I am having a small circular coil. This circular coil has a radius r, number of turns is n. Magnetic, so they will ask you, find the self-inductance of this circular coil. So it is saying, sir, if I pass some current I through this circular coil, due to this current I in this circular loop, magnetic field will be produced, and that magnetic field produced, due to that magnetic field produced, there will be magnetic flux in the coil. So we can say from here we can say, sir, flux will be equal to band, which we have studied already. Flux we can write as band. Now we know this flux can be also written as L into I. B you can write. So what is the main point? If you pass current I through this coil, due to this current, this coil itself will produce magnetic field inside. Due to that magnetic field, this coil itself will get magnetic flux. So flux, and that flux we can write as Li. So phi will be equal to, phi will be band, which we know. This phi we can write in the terms of mutual inductance as L into I. This will be band. B you can write mu naught I by 2R. Due to circular coil, you know how to find magnetic field. This is for one turn. If n turns are there, you will get, this is the magnetic field. Area will come pi r square into n. Now from here I will get cancelled, and you will get the value of self-inductance of circular coil. You can get from here 1r, will also get cancelled. So mu naught pi r into n square upon 2. So main point is that you cannot remember this value. You have to learn the process, how to find out that self-inductance of circular coil. Now for example, so I think you can see this thing in your main notes, how this self-inductance is calculated, or you can see the material also. Now we move to one more part, where again we will talk about self-inductance of a solenoid. We have to study self-inductance of two things. One is circular coil. We know self-inductance, we can write phi equal to Li, from there we can calculate. Now this is self-inductance of circular coil. I will just give you idea how to find self-inductance of a solenoid. So see here how we are talking about self-inductance of a solenoid. So for solenoid again, someone gave you one solenoid and they asked you, find its self-inductance. So again you will say, so first I will write flux. I know, so if you pass current I through this solenoid, due to this current, solenoid will get magnetic field. Due to that magnetic field, the solenoid will get magnetic flux. So I can write that flux as band, and this flux can be also written as L into I. B you know how to find magnetic field due to solenoid. Mu naught n by L, number of turns per unit length, into I, into area. If cross-sectional radius is given, you can write area as pi r square into n. Again I will get cancelled and you will get the value of L. Again see this value from your main notes, how it is calculated. So I talk about self-inductance of two things. One thing is self-inductance of a circular coil. If you pass current to the circular coil, due to current, circular coil itself will get the flux. So there we talk about self-inductance. Same thing will happen in the case of solenoid. Now we are going to move towards one more part, where we will talk about mutual inductance. So we'll talk about mutual inductance. Now, as you can see the name, mutual. There we talk about self-inductance means due to current of itself, loop is getting flux itself. That was self-inductance. But here mutual inductance. For example, if two coils are there, if I am saying like this, two coils are there. Now, if you pass current through coil 1, due to current of coil 1, your coil 2 will get the flux. Similarly, due to current of coil 2, coil 1 will get the flux. So, whenever one coil gets flux due to current of another coil, that's why name is mutual. You must know what is meaning of name. If two loops are there, if you are passing current in one loop, but second loop is getting flux due to that current, then we talk about mutual inductance. So I will say like this, phi 2 will be proportional to, can you tell me phi 2 will be, flux of 2 will be proportional to current of 1, or similarly we can say flux of 1 will be proportional to current of 2. Then we talk about, this is not self-inductance. You can see this is the flux of second coil, current of first coil. Flux of first coil, current of second coil. What we talk here? Here we talk about mutual inductance. So if you remove proportionality, you will get from here phi 2 will be equal to m into I1. And from here we can get phi 1 will be equal to m into I2. And there is one relation also between this self-inductance and mutual inductance. Obviously, these coils will also have their self-inductance because current is there in these coils, so they will have their self-inductance also. It will also have self-inductance. So, one relation is there. Maximum value of mutual inductance will be under root of L1 into L2. Keep this result in your mind. Derivation you have in your main notes. You can see there, or you can see in books. But no need of derivation. Questions are asked directly from here. They will say you, for example, two coils have self-inductance 9 and 4. Two coils have self-inductance 9 and 4. Find the maximum value of mutual inductance. So maximum value of mutual inductance, tell me what is maximum value of mutual inductance under root of L1 into L2. Maximum value of mutual inductance under root of L1 into L2. So if you put here, you will get the answer under root of 4 into 9, that is 36. So maximum value of mutual inductance will come 6 Henry. So this is how we can talk about self-inductance and mutual inductance. So again, if a coil gets flux, if I am the coil, if I am getting flux due to current of myself, I will talk about self-inductance. But for example, if you are getting flux due to my current, then I am getting flux due to your current, then we will talk about mutual inductance. And maximum value of mutual inductance will be, can you tell me, maximum value of mutual inductance will be root L1 into L2. So this is what we talk about. Now I will tell you one situation where we calculate mutual inductance, just to give you idea how this mutual inductance can be calculated. Normally questions are not asked, but I will just give you idea. For example, someone says you, two circular coils are there. This small coil, this is big coil, and I am giving just number of turns here ns, here radius rs, here number of turn nl, radius rl is large, small. You will ask me, find their mutual inductance. So you will be saying, sir, mutual inductance means, sir, flux of second coil will be proportional to current of first coil. Flux of second. If second coil gets flux due to current of larger coil, then we talk about mutual inductance. For example, here if I am passing current IL, so due to this current, what will happen? Inside there is a small loop, field will be there. Due to that field, what will happen? Flux will be there. So you can see directly, due to current of larger coil, smaller coil is getting flux. So that's why we talk about mutual inductance. So from here we can get phi s will be equal to m into IL. Phi s you can write ban. Phi you can write ban. So ban NL, small loop, will be equal to m into IL. B you can write. Who will produce B here in the small loop? Larger loop will produce. So B will be coming as mu naught IL by 2 RL. And this is for one term. How many turns this larger loop has? This larger loop has n turns. So total field produced will be NL. So BA, area of a small loop, you can write pi into RS square into N. This will be your NS. Small loop flux is there. So BAN, N will be your NS. This will be equal to M into IL. Now from here IL will be cancelled. And you can see how to find the value of mutual inductance. So this is how we can calculate some of the situation where mutual inductance is used. Now go through all the questions that you have got from here in your main class. Now we'll move to one more part. We'll move to more important part. We are going to talk about one device which is our inductor. So till now what we studied, we started with magnetic flux, we studied Faraday's law, we studied Lenz's law, then we studied motional EMF, then we studied eddy current, then right now we studied self-inductance, then we studied mutual inductance. Now we are going to move towards our next part. We will study about property of inductor. This is a very important situation. So be 100% focused. See here how we'll be talking about. Very many times question has been asked directly from this part. So see here. So your inductor. So we'll talk about one device which is inductor. So inductor is nothing. It's nothing new device. I think you have studied also. It's same as your solenoid. And obviously this inductor will have self-inductance. So for inductor you can write flux L into I, and you can write EMF for that. EMF will be coming as minus d phi by dt. That will come minus L into di by dt. You can write energy stored in the inductor. Energy of inductor. Can you tell me what will be energy of inductor? Half L into I square. So these are the three important results that we have for inductor. Questions are asked directly from here. If current is given, L is given, you can write flux. If anyone says current changes, if current will change, flux will change, EMF will come. So this is the value of induced EMF across inductor. This is the energy of inductor. So you tell me for inductor what is phi? Phi equal to Li. What is induced EMF? Minus L into di by dt. What is energy stored in the inductor? Half L into I square. Now how questions are asked from here? We talk about some of the numericals and how this induced EMF comes. Always remember, this means which will be high potential, which will be low potential. Just see how questions are asked. I will tell you. The most famous question, direct question already we got. Direct question, phi equal to Li. Phi will be given out of these three, 2 will be given, you can calculate. Second will be direct value of induced EMF minus L into di by dt. Third will be energy stored, direct formula based question, half L into I square. All these questions has been asked previously 2-3 times in your NEET exam. And move to one more situation where they will give you one circuit and they will ask you to find potential difference between 2 points. Means you have to use Kirchhoff's law. You have to use KVL, Kirchhoff's voltage law. For example, we get idea. You can see. They will say you. Here I have one circuit. We are starting from A. This is B. This is given as, for example, 1 ohm. This is given as 1 ohm. This is given as 10 Henry. This is given as 10 volt. And they are saying you current is flowing. That they are saying you this current is flowing as 10 ampere. And they will say you current. They will give you rate of change of current. They will say you current is increasing or current is decreasing. That means they will give you di by dt. If di by dt is given as positive, that means your current is increasing. Di by dt is given as 1 ampere per second. They will ask you find Va minus Vb. You try by yourself. What this plus sign is indicating that your current in the circuit will increase. They are asking you find VA minus VB when current is 10 ampere. They are saying you rate of change of current is 1 ampere per second plus 1 ampere per second means current is increasing. So let's see how to solve. Again, this is the same question of our Kirchhoff's law. But now you have to think about inductor. And I told you inductor will behave as a battery. By inductor is generating EMF, current is changing, flux will change, EMF will come. Okay. Your inductor will behave as a battery. If it will behave as a battery, how it will behave, sir? It will be a battery like this or like this. So this is what you have to see here. You can see current is increasing. You know induced EMF will oppose the cause. In this direction your current is increasing. You tell me does inductor will allow that current to increase? No, Baba. That is your Lenz law. Your inductor will not allow current to increase in this direction. That means it will try to produce current in opposite direction. If it will try to produce current in opposite direction, it will behave as a battery like this. It will not behave as a battery like this. It will oppose the current. So it will behave as a battery like this. Value of that EMF you can write L into di by dt. What is L? 10. What is di by dt? 1. So it will behave as a 10 volt battery. In which direction? Like this. Now you can write. We start from here, you will go there. So same equation, I think everyone knows. So VA minus IR. For this battery we are going in positive direction, so plus 10 volt. Again minus IR. Now opposite, so this will come as minus 10 volt. We'll reach to the point B. So this will be our VB. Now from here this will get cancelled and you will get VA minus VB as 20 volt. I think everyone can do this question. Let's have a look again. Only one thing is there, inductor will behave as a battery. Now how it will behave as a battery, you have to think. Current is increasing, so it will not allow to increase. So it will behave as a battery in opposite direction. So it will give you current like this. Now after that you can write Kirchhoff's law and you can get the value. So for example, one question I will give to you and you will try to solve. I will give you a little tough question. This is your P, this is Q, current is going, this current is given as, for example, let's take 20 ampere, this is 1 ohm resistance, 1 ohm resistance, 1 ohm resistance, this is, again we can get this as 10 Henry, this will get as 20 Henry, di by dt is given as minus 1 ampere per second. I want Vp minus Vq. Do by yourself. I think everyone can get. So let's start. Okay, no problem. Just here help me how to solve. Again, first step, your inductor will behave as a battery. So you have to write for the inductor. I should tell you what this minus sign is representing. That current is decreasing. You tell me does inductor will allow current here to decrease? No, Baba. So it will produce current in the same direction. Current is like this, so it will also produce current in the same direction. That means it will behave as a battery like this. Same thing will happen for this inductor also. It will behave as a battery like this. EMF you can write L into di by dt. That is 10 volt. EMF you can write 10 volt. Now I think everyone can do. Let's start from P. Tell me how we'll write. So starting from P, so Vp, then minus IR 20 plus 10. This battery was also given, for example, 30 volt. So Vp minus IR, tell me plus 10 or minus 10, plus 10, because we are going in the same direction, plus 10. This opposite to the battery, minus 30, again minus IR, so minus 20, again plus 20, again minus 20, we reach to point Q, so this will be VQ. I think everyone understood. And how much you will get? 1, okay. Now what will happen? This is So this will give you minus 20, minus 20, minus 40, minus 70, plus 10, minus 60. So Vp minus Vq will give you plus 60 volt. I think everyone understood how to deal with questions based on inductor. So in an inductor, I will again tell you important points. First important to Li. Question has been asked previously in NEET where they gave you flux, where they gave you current, and they asked find L. Simply use phi equal to Li. Or sometimes they will give you current, they will ask you find EMF. So phi will be equal to minus L into dt. In recently in 2018, they asked energy of inductor half Li square. Fourth type of question is this, where we have to find the potential difference between 2 points. So this is how we have got all these situations, and this is how we have talked about inductor. Now this is what we have got.